All right, welcome back to Finding Truth podcast on Unscripted Truth TV. Logan here with Austin once again. And tonight's going to be another installment of our relationship type uh, vibe we've been riding with a little bit of a twist. It's, we've kind of been going like incrementally throughout our, you know, uh, I guess themes, but we're kind of bringing in a new theme tonight, and it's going to be about trust. There's a lot of things, mistrust is heavy in society right now, maybe peaking, honestly. Um, and you have a lot of things we're going to touch on. Maybe not go we're not go into esoteric like we like to do on in another episodes, but mainly just covering about the broader things that play with we're going to talk about the whole Epstein thing that's being brought up again, and you now have people that were so high on Donald Trump. Now you have they're really making it seem like the right's imploding and the left is basically just degenerates. And what does the future hold for a 20-some-year-old or a 16-year-old right now? What are they looking at? What are the adults doing in their lives? So where can they turn to trust? I don't think it's their teachers. Half the time, it's probably not their parents, because parents are living crazy right now. I've seen it anecdotally myself. Even on like small scales, things like birthday parties and stuff. You go to there, it's just like once you're awake, man, things that like should just be fun loving and cool, man, they almost become like that. It just feels like the curtain needs to be unveiled, and it's like all the cake turns into like rotten food. And what was that movie? Whereas anyway, but yeah, it just feels it's dark when you think about we have an obesity epidemic, diabetes, all these things. So kids can't trust their parents to do what's best for them. A lot of the times it's just doing what makes them feel good and what puts a smile on their face so that they get that dopamine themselves, the parents, I mean. And, so kids can't trust their parents. Who do they turn to? They can't trust their government. And that's everybody. We can't trust our government. Can we trust those around us? Well, or maybe bring up some anecdotes about our own life, about how that either succeeds or fails. And this isn't to be like a complete downer type of stream. It's just to bring light to something that, it's thought provoking, and everybody has a story, I'm sure, about, one way or another. And I, guaranteed, never mind, I'm sure, I guaranteed people have stories, probably multiple, revolving around trust, the lack thereof, or whatever it may be. But before we get to that, and before I shoot it down to you, we will be covering, or after I'll shoot it down to you, but we will be covering our second two-peat call of this season in NASCAR, which I don't know. I don't follow any other channels really other than Zach's. So maybe people are calling these things left and right. For me, it's quite flabbergasting, just because, I'm a virgin into this whole like NASCAR scene, and just to be able to combine with you and be all of a sudden we're able to make, I don't know, what is that, like 6 or 7 first place calls this season? Maybe not 6 or 7, maybe it's 5 or 6, but it's up there, calling the actual winner. And we've been damn near close on a lot of other ones, and it's just it's crazy how on target we are with these narratives that have been playing out in NASCAR, and I'm excited to get into it with you. But without further ado, I'll send it right down to you. How you doing, Billy?
I'm doing pretty well. It's been a pretty amazing week in a lot of ways. Yeah, it's just I know we kind of finished last week talking about there's the Texas flood. I said there would be there'd be a massive event on either the 4th of July or before the 4th of July. And that's exactly what we got with the Texas flood. And then, since that, we've just had tons of other floods all over the country. Half the country is flooded underwater. Iowa, Illinois, Washington, D.C., New Mexico, Texas, plenty of other states as well. Just everywhere, Midwest, East, West, just everywhere is just getting destroyed right now. And yeah, and there's just been a lot of things going on. That's just it's really been a monumental week in just terms of just keeping up with stuff. I mean, there was the most swarms ever at earthquakes for Mount Rainier that's been recorded or tracked, and since they've been doing it, so it's Mount Rainier is going crazy. So you got the Rainier, rain near, rain here, and you got the rain and the flooding at the same exact time. You got Teddy Swims concert, and uh, people in Illinois, Chicago, Iowa, they're having to literally go swimming because they're getting flooded out while Teddy Swims performs. So yeah, you just got just the level of mockery, the way they've set this week up, and this uh, month at this point has really been amazing. It's going to be interesting to see where we are by the end of the month. But yeah, it's just been a big week. I feel really big things in the air. Yeah, I had my other test. I passed that one on this week. So that was a few days ago. That was Thursday. And then I got my other one coming up in 2 days, Tuesday morning. So I don't know. That one's going to be pretty tough, pretty challenging. So I don't know how that one's going to go. But yeah, it's the way things have been shaping up. It's been a pretty good week. Overall, just came from back from my friends, just in time for this. I mean, this week to me was just totally, really kind of up in the air. I didn't really know. I know, like I said last episode too, I was going to reach out to some people, kind of get share the channel a little bit. I shared to a couple of people on a little channel, so I don't know if I think that helped out slightly with the views. Maybe I don't know if I can get a hold of some people, but yeah, just trying to do little things to. I know this. It seemed like our other video kind of got more views too, so maybe made some noise, got some people to check back in with us for the most part. But yeah, still trying to overcome that as well, get the channel going, get people involved, other channels as well. Yeah, and just keeping up with everything. Like I said, all the stuff there is to keep up with, trying to just hold it down, keep your sanity in these crazy times. And yeah, and then yeah, it's funny because I got that, like I said, I passed my other test this week and I got a 88. And then, what happened yesterday in the Xfinity race? It was the 88 car getting the win. So you had the 88, and Ginsburg's got to get second because he's not driving the 88. And then what do we got today? We got yet again another 88 on the board for Ginsburg. 3 poles, 3 wins in a month. So, and we've been just, crushing these picks for the most part. Um, I brought up too, look forward to next week, possibly Christopher Bell being his 201st race, that he might get the win at Dover next week. That's going to be a real interesting race. It's going to be a real interesting week coming up these next couple of weeks, the end of this month and stuff. But yeah, just the pace we're on, and the Ginsburg exploding, the 88 exploding, and then you got, all the stuff with Trump, on his birthday, and then the parade there in the Mexico race, and the last week in the the Chicago road course. And now, what we were talking about, after, he won again from the pole. I'm like, well, very good, high percentage. If we go to Infineon, he might be the guy to beat, and go figure he gets another pole and dominates the race yet again and wins yet another race. So yeah, just Ginsburg explosion right now.
Yeah, and it's I talk to you, every time we talk, either pre episode or any other time about it, when this gets brought up. It's just so funny because it was like the one driver I highlighted. Like I said, I'm new to this year. I didn't know about very few drivers that I even heard their names, but I just saw that 88 car, and Trump took the inaugural pace car to start the season, and it was him and actually Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the 47. I just keyed in on them just simply because of the car they drive, and it's been an abysmal run with Gisbergen until of late. And now it's just, not only is he in the playoffs, he's, exploding midway through. And, the talk of the, I've seen a couple articles now that are just like acting like they knew it all along, Oh, he's always been such a good driver. We knew this would happen someday. It's just like, where? I haven't seen anything. It's all been Chase Elliott, um, Kyle Larson, even Denny Hamlin, because he was, dominating for a minute there. Um, it's really weird. He has not been in any, and from what I've seen, up until that poster for the Mexico race, where I was just like, well, hold up. Of all the drivers to put on this, of course Suarez was front and center for the Mexico race. Okay, and he even took Xfinity that week. But what the hell is Gisbergen doing there? And boom, he wins it, and now he's 3 out of 4, right? Isn't he 3 out of 4?
Yeah, he's won 3 times in the last 5 weeks. So yeah, he's been
yeah. Jeez, 60%. But so yeah, it's just it went from a running joke to where we've seen this narrative build, and we're just like, wait a minute, this is really coming to fruition. This 88 is playing in more ways than one, and you might ask, well, how's the 88 playing? It's just okay. Well, there's the obvious for some people who are keen to this, to gematria and its pertinence in our news waves and everything like that. It's the hidden code behind it's the they live, put the glasses on, you see the code type of thing. But 88 is huge. 88 and 47 are like Trump's numbers. If you were there might be a couple other ones that are key as well, but 88 is definitely, if it was between 88 and 47, I don't know, it's kind of rough picking which one represents his character on the stage more. But 88 is definitely up there. And so yeah, that's what I was saying with Donald Trump does the pace car for the Indy 500. I noticed Gisbergen drove the 88, and I just said, oh, who's this guy? And lo and behold, he won his first ever race and has been pretty much struggling ever since. And but with Trump taking that pace car, it looks like this is his year, and it's his best year of his career. And so there's that 88. It plays with California 88 in the same cipher. But also check out the 65. Today is 65 days from his last birthday, and we talked about this last week. I think we went over we must have gone over just very briefly, but we did date numerology and a couple some name gematria, trying to figure out if there was any other stories, narratives that could play out. We were looking at some of our front runner picks. We've been looking at Reddick, and I think we looked at I think 8 or 9 other drivers until we were like, well, what are the odds that Gisbergen wins again? So we punch the numbers, since his birthday. Oh, 65 days. Well, that matches with California. I can't remember. There's 1 or 2 other things that lined up as well. You'd have to go back and watch from the beginning of last week's episode, or at least the first hour. And but yeah, definitely his. We saw that this is the race. And by the way, California is because this race was obviously in Sonoma, California. But yeah, this is obviously a ritual for him for California. At least those are the numbers that played. And I can't remember on the top of my. I was trying to figure them out without rewatching last episode before we started here, but I forgot exactly what the other thing or two that we noticed that made us, pretty much go from any other guesses that we had to be like, well, okay, it looks like he's gonna win again. So, and I know you even threw out some mentioning Chase Elliott being, taking second or something. I can't remember exactly how you put it, but you mentioned um, about his first race, and I think you even with his first win, I mean, in Mexico, how Chase Elliott was right there and I think took second, and so they've been kind of like attached at the hip for his wins in one way or another. But yeah, like you said, yeah, I mean, you right on the money with that's just the Cup Series. You look at the Xfinity Series, and of course they got the '88 winning with Gisbergen right behind. I mean, can't script it any better than that, man.
No, and I mean, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you've had 3 Ginsburg wins now, and he's done it in 3 different paint schemes, all from the pole too. I mean, he had the the Mexico one, with the safety culture and the weather tech, and then he had the weather tech last week, and then he had the Red Bull for this one. So,
Triple
um,
'88.
yeah, Red Bull. So three different, 3 different cars, 3 different sponsors, 3 different poles, 3 different races, 3 different, you know, one race Chicago. California, Mexico, all over the place, but it's just nothing but Ginsburg, yeah, and it's just amazing how in just 5 weeks, this guy just like is making a career out of just nothing when he just got in the car and won in the 91 car, 2 years ago, just hopped in, won in the 91, hasn't done nothing ever since. In the last 5 weeks, it's just been uh, on top of the mountain. And of course, it's all, him driving that 88. It's all about that 88. And yeah, that's why he's got to finish second in Xfinity. You got to give the win to the other guy because he's driving the 88. So it's just more power for the ritual. Once I saw that yesterday, I'm like, man, Ginsburg's got to get it now today with that. I mean, they got to give it to him today to complete this ritual. They got it. They're shaping it up, and there it was. I mean, as soon as I saw he was on the pole too, I'm like, oh my god, here we go
I
again.
mean,
This is exactly what we
isn't
said. I
it
mean,
crazy? That's wild. Like we talk about it, and then it's just like, let's talk about like consolation prizes. Let's say that all we did was just call Gisbergen last week, and all he did was pole, and he finished sixth. Okay, but still, we'd be sitting here saying, how the hell did we know that polling should be relatively, there should be a lot of variation. Different people should poll probably every week, almost just about with if everything was up and upright, if everything was truly varied in that way. The odds that one person would pull out, multiple weeks in a row, just like winning multiple weeks in a row. Of course, we had a three-peat with the aforementioned Christopher Bell, who will be in his 201st race next week. So we're gonna definitely look out for that. But speaking of 201, we have Van Gisbergen and his I guess it's like his complete surname. I guess you would technically say Gisbergen in his surname, but he has the Van in there anyway. Um, and you look at where they're racing, I believe at Sonoma Raceway, and it's just like you talk Jesuit order, and every week, what have we mentioned? How it's just like, man, they really set this up from the inception. These racetracks, they're in strategic places that all have the numbers. They all do. That I mean,
and look how it's got all those names. I mean, it's Sonoma Raceway, Sonoma, Infineon, Sears Point. I mean, that's a lot of her name. Sears Point, Infineon. Sonoma, all these different names, and that's why they have all these different. It's just more power for the ritual. Some of these tracks, it's just, you look at where the tracks are located, the name of the tracks, just certain things like that, what they call the tracks. It's like the next race too, Dover, that used to be called Dover Downs. Used to call it Dover Downs. I think call it just Dover, the Monster Mile. But yeah, just they always got to have something clever with these names, the way they come up with stuff, the way they figure it out, or if they're just going to have multiple names for something and just call it whatever you want to call it. A lot of different ways they go about all this stuff. Big monster miles coming up.
Absolutely, and that's another thing we bring to light as well is the levers of control that these all sports leagues had, and I'm a, without going dipping back into my wheelhouse there and just going over the whole thing again. I feel like I do this once an episode almost, but yeah, that's it's a perfect example of, like you're saying, uh, they have the nickname, they have the the field, they have the the county that it's in, and the city and the state, all their ways to put all these different levers to put their mark on the ritual, whatever they, you know, whatever part their ritual needs that specific place. They can, there's different, oh, different titles and things that they can hearken to their whatever numbers they need. Oh, that's what. Oh, here we go. What I was trying to say is, yeah, the Sonoma Raceway has the 153, 54, 72, just like Jesuit order. Obviously, the 201 being I say obviously, but uh, relatively obvious if you followed us at all. Uh, 201 being the number of the Jesuit order, which is Bergen reps. You have Larson 201, and you have the Phantom 201 with Chase Elliott that I still can't find. I'll just keep calling him Mr. 201. But yeah, between the drivers, the even in some cases, the sponsors. That's what I was fumbling there. Sorry, the sponsors, the drivers, the county, the state, and the track nicknames and the track names. They have all different ways at their disposal to write these rituals out. And why I bring up all these different things is because in a different sport like basketball or football or anything like that, generally the things at play are the athletes themselves and the coaches and things like of that nature. But NASCAR seems a little bit more limited in their I guess their bag to pull from for the rituals. It's basically the things I listed, and obviously uh, the garages and the owners as well. You could definitely talk about that, and I'm sure that that's what these rituals are really at the end of the day for. Are I've mentioned multiple times that this is how magic works. I'm not saying that magic in its like fairy rainbow sense doesn't work as well. Maybe there is. I can't say it doesn't. For all I know, there is magic in this world. But as far as what the magic that we are put through in a way, made to live out, it's a different type of magic. It's the kind of magic that it's like if you were to tell somebody I can make a whole crowd all move the same way, and then they're sitting there watching the television, and you say something like, now they will all go towards the exits now. It's like if that happened, you'd be like, holy crap, how the hell did you do that? Well, these things have happened. Enter Damar Hamlin, enter all these different levers, like I say, where they can control these things and really make magic happen. It's just not it might not be the Harry Potter fun magic, but it's the kind of magic that they use. Anyway, I don't want to get too long with it. We still gotta go over this Saturday.
Yeah, it's like we were saying. I mean, you sit here and you call this stuff and you really look at it, but when you really break it down and you really think about it, like it's like you're saying, okay, so we're like halfway through the season. It's almost August. There's we got Watkins Glen coming up, another chance for Ginsburg to get a win, but And then we're sitting here like, well, would you have thought that at this point of the season or at any point of the season that, Ginsburg is going to have more wins than say like William Byron and Ryan Blaney combined, or like over twice the amount of wins that either of those guys have this season at this point? It's like, as unfathomable as you would think that is, and, as unrealistic, and, and then just to look at the way it actually plays out, and for these all to be polls, dominated races, 3 for 5, and just 5 weeks. I mean, it's amazing the fact that we can sit here and call that, as insane as that really is. Because you got to think about even just going into the Mexico race, to sit here to think that this was even, going to happen like this just a few weeks ago, that this is how this is going to play out. I mean, that's just the thing. And you look at all the races, like William Byron could have won or should have won this year, and he's still sitting with the one, uh, just the Daytona 500, just like last year. You got a few wins. Like, I think you got 3 early in the year, and that was pretty much it. You got the 500 last year and like 2 others, and it's like how this year has gone for him. He should have won, 5, 6 races. Dominated, lead the most laps, almost led every lap at Darlington. Setting records, yet can't even get a second win. Just all of a sudden, here comes Ginsburg. Just getting win after win, doing it from the pole, total domination. And you think about that, it's like how unrealistic that really truly is. Just someone that's just a complete nobody's got one win to their, just jumped in the car and won it with a different team, a different number, a different sponsor, 2 years ago. And now you look at what has been the last month. It's absolutely amazing to sit here and watch it and call it. And who would have thought, and who would have guessed this going into the season like this? This is how it would look, and it's how it would play out. I mean, it's just the most ridiculous, unreal expectations you could possibly have. But it just goes to show you the level of scripting, just how precise they got it, how well lined, well drawn out they got. I mean, that Mexico race to me was really the epitome with how well they had everything going for that, with everything going on. But these other ones have been the same thing, and yeah, they just continuously line this stuff up week in, week out. It's amazing to sit here and call it, because I don't know anyone else that would have made that prediction.
I can't imagine, especially with how abysmal it was. I mean, early on. But here we are. And he's making quite the climb from almost, I think he was like in the 30s,
Yeah.
6th now, and nowhere to go but up. Don't be surprised to see him top 10ing a whole lot more this season too. It seems like they're really trying to pin a Cinderella story, because they, narrative wise, they love those. And I think last week was it that we talked about, we kind of went over the 2 different narratives they can go with them. We talked about how, and this is crazy. We're sitting here talking about Shane Van Gisbergen as like, we're being serious about it. We're saying, hey, no, there's a clear narrative they're painting here. They're definitely taking, they're not wasting this. This isn't just like a throwaway quick narrative for the middle of the season. No, they're going somewhere with this, and or at least it very much so appears that they are. And today definitely, drives that nail in a little bit more. But we were mentioning how, they could either go, you talk about how he's, a track specialist, he's a road course specialist. And, from my perspective, I understand how they like to use those types of things. Like, think of the NBA. You'll take a guy like who's, all NBA defense, but then an all NBA defender. But then, he'll go up against an up and coming star, and that star like rips him apart and makes him look, ridiculous, so that they can say, man, they really like, this is how good this kid is. This is how good this guy is that he's doing this on this guy. And so, I mentioned that, they could do this with, the stars in the league or in the series right now. You have Shane take out the Chase, the Kyle Larsons and the Byrons and things like that, head to head, just show that he dominates, and have him do it on ovals, so that you can say, man, look at this guy. He's even, this guy's normally a road course guy. And then, of course, you flip the script on that and said, they could easily be propelling him forward so that he is a road course specialist that they hone in on this year, so that when the playoffs come, and like you said, they mix in a road course in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think there's at least one, if not two, in it. I know they always keep mixing up the schedule. I'm sure there's one in it. The next one I know is coming up it is Watkins Glen in August. So, I mean, if he gets a pole there, I'm expecting another win. He's just gonna right now. And the thing is, I mean, he's sitting. If the playoffs started, he'd be tied. He'd be the third seed, but he'd be tied for first because he's got 3 wins with Larson and Bell right now. So if he wins one more and they don't, he's got the number one seed going into the playoffs. He'd be number one.
Hamlin's got 3 as well.
Which is awesome. Hamlin too.
There's 4 drivers right now with 3 wins, so it's like that's another narrative too. They love to do is to increase drama in this way. I have a lot of like ties and things that require tiebreakers so that they can write scripts. What's it going to take for this tie to break? They love it. Just guys, think about when the playoffs are nearing in the NBA. It's just watch Sports Center. It's just holy crap! Every little story having to do with any in and out for any team to get the edge on another team every single day until it all pans out. These are it's script writing. It's anyway. So yeah, we mentioned them either going one way with him or the other, but from where I'm sitting, it seems to me like they could be doing a dark horse narrative. But if they end up just propelling him into the limelight so that you can have an oval driver take him out on a road course in the playoffs, that would also make perfect sense, like you highlighted last week. So we have 2 narratives that are strong right now that put him at the center, that put him at not only making the playoffs, but being a contender so that he can either shine or get that consolation prize. Like we talk about, they will, at the very least, I see him getting a consolation prize this season, not just his wins, but, a strong playoff performance as well.
Yeah, it's just like what happened yesterday with the Xfinity race. Him taking second. I mean, and then that other guy getting the victory. I mean, that right there is a perfect example. And yeah, I mean, like I said, he's only had one other top 10, like a 6th place finish all year. And other than that, he's just been absolute garbage. I mean, it's yeah, it's going to be real interesting to see how he does with the rest of the season as well, with the road courses. And then just whatever else, the ovals, can he have any decent finishes? I mean, it'd be interesting to see how long he goes and lasts in the playoffs, how many rounds he makes it. Does he make it to, does he even get to like the round of 8, or does he go out the first round? Does he make the round of 12? What would be shocking if he makes the round of 4 and it's like you sit there, it's like, oh, does he have a shot to win the last race? I mean, that would really be something to see him in the final 4. But yeah, I mean, they're shaping it up right now. And like I said, I mean, yeah, you wonder about some people that have been quiet. Like I said, Byron, these other people, are they making a comeback here soon, or are we going to get someone else that's going to show up here late in the season strong? The 4 drivers, there's so much narratives this year. And with all these, I mean, the 88 and the Ginsburg has got to be just the most ridiculous and unlikely, but it's the one that's playing out right now. So that's what just makes this so interesting right now, is watching how this is happening in just such a unique way they're going about it. It's going to be real interesting to see what he does the next few races in between the next road course. Does he have any solid finishes, or does he just go back to just kind of being crap and just running towards the back or maybe mid pack? That's kind of what I'm looking to see here as well.
Dover Motor Speedway has some interesting gematria here. 243 and 90 in both ciphers. Got the original here, got the ordinal and reverse ordinal, as well as the reduction and reverse reduction, kind of mirroring each other.
Yeah, they used to call it Dover Downs.
Dover Downs.
Dover Downs.
There's some Trump numbers there. Download. Trump is book, whatever author title. Someone's got the 48s. Old 33. You know, on the same trajectory as last week, funnily enough, I mean, it's just a quick notice. It's just from his birthday to next week. It is 72 days, not an arbitrary number. But we are going into the 201st day of the year as well. So, like you said, that is a great find with the Chase Elliott, or sorry, was it? Yeah, you said Chase Elliott's 201st race.
Christopher Bell.
Chris Bell, that's right. Yeah. So Christopher Bell's 201st race on the 201st day of the year. That seems to be a hot narrative or a hot lead for sure. And I would definitely follow that. We'll look into it a little bit more right now. I always forget his birthday. The 139 like over downs. And of course, I see in articles all the time they just call him Chris Bell. Chris Bell has that 88 as well. So let's actually quickly let's oh yeah, the moniker, the Monster Mile.
Monster Mile.
Posterity, I'll see it. You know. I saw it open in 69. 69. Oh, that's why they call it downs. It's originally a horse racing.
Over downs, like you're going down.
I don't see anything exactly that stands out. I guess we could try the had some success on the addresses. North DuPont Highway. It's hard to say.
102.
Mhm. Let's take a look at some of the driver salary real quick. Highlighting, of course, Chris Bell, December 16th. There's so many with like a birthdays between like December 10th and 20th. It's crazy. 216 days. It's a fun 7 months and 4 days, like 74 as well, which Dover Delaware equals 74. But 216 is show you guys here. 6 cube. So 6 times 6 times 6 equals 216. Well, that was 216 day of his age on the 201st day of the year on his 201st race. Also, his birthday and the day have 72 day numerology. I mean, wow. Wait, what? December 16th and July 20th have all the same paths of date numerology? Look at
Huh.
that. Huh. Indeed. Huh. Hmm.
The 201, the 201st day of the year, 201st race.
Wow.
Exact same date numerology.
That's wild. I have never seen, not even, I rarely even see one, honestly, matching. Let
Yeah.
alone 5. I mean, more than 5 too. Look at these other paths. And the only reason it's different here is because it was a leap year, right?
Yeah.
That's wild. 8 different paths for date numerology from his birthday, or yeah, from his birthday and his and the next week's race. That's a bit of a head scratcher. Wow. Dude, great catch on the 201st race of his career. That's wild. What to expect from? Okay, so let's quickly do something else that we've had success with as well. Let's look at his last win. I can't remember exactly what it was, which race it was.
I think it was Phoenix.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Phoenix on March 9th. Quite some time. Wow. Man, time flies, doesn't it? Holy crap. We were just talking about his 3P.
Yeah. Second, third, fourth race of the year. Yeah.
$19 weeks exactly, 133 days. I know 133 plays and some other things. I don't know if it really makes sense in this aspect. But Dover, Delaware, 133. Wow, dude. Woo! So Dover, Delaware, 74. Like 7 weeks and 4 days since his birthday, or what was it, 7 months, whatever it was. I just had it.
Yeah. Hopefully he doesn't
7 months, 4 days.
qualify too well, or hopefully he qualifies like mid pack or kind of poorly. So maybe, or at least not in the top 10 or whatever. So it's like, we picked the Ginsburg, all these times, but with him qualifying on the pole, and some weeks it might be a little better odds, or some weeks it might be a little worse, or narratives might be a little different. But you're just not winning much at all these polls for the most part. But man, if he doesn't qualify too well, I mean, there's no one that's gonna have a better narrative. This might be the best narrative overall all year.
Numbers wise, sure.
Yeah. And there's been some real strong ones too this year. There's been a lot of really strong ones that we've called, a lot of 201s across the board and other ones as well. But this one here looks like it's just kind of destiny and fate aligning at the same exact moment.
Yeah, this should be his 4th win this year as well. 4th course, got the 21 and Jesuits. Yeah, dude. I mean, that's a crazy spot. I mean, but yeah, I'm down to take a look at a couple more people. There's definitely some others that are, fiending for their first win still. Yeah, Reddick. We can take a look at his standouts. I'll start remembering these dates one day. 190 days on the dot. 6 months and 9 days, like 69. Delaware equals 69.
Illuminati 69.
Yep. I mean, I just can't even get over the date numerology paths. What the hell? 8? 8 matches? Okay. Tyler Reddick does have the 190. Interesting. 190 days from his birthday. That is interesting.
Yeah, you can't count them out for sure.
Let's see. This last one was last year at Homestead on October 27th. 38 weeks exactly. Not 266 as well has interesting connotations. I don't know if it necessarily plays out what we're talking about here. What about? I don't think they would do anniversaries of races though. Okay. Well, that's interesting. The 190. Oops, the 190 from his birthday. His name equals 190. Let's take a look at a couple more while we're at it. Who are you thinking? I mean, I'm thinking Bell, but let's take a look at good old Willie Byron.
Byron's always pretty good at Dover.
We're at 33. $2 from his birthday. Probably doesn't matter too much. Probably not as big of a tell, you know. Got those Jesuit numbers though. Not quite the Dover numbers. Man, my head's still kind of spinning. Holy crap. I just kind of want to just keep looking at it. Get that. yeah, so for anyone curious, like it has to be rare. Like this has to be rare. Blow it up a little bit. See if that translates into the video. But I mean, guys, this is a bit nutty, if you will. I mean, even if the lesser used new date numerology paths line up, white wild, white wild, and of course, add into that the 7 months and 4 days, like Dover Delaware equals 74. It's a compelling narrative for sure. Obviously, in his 201st race of his career as well, on the 201st day of the year. These are big time. I'd say drop a 5, but we don't give advice here. This isn't any kind of gambling advice. This is just saying I would drop a 5. Because man, yeah, we'll see where the polls are too. It'll be very. I mean, I meant to make a comment about you mentioned that Vegas isn't paying out on these Gisbergen wins, which and maybe unless there's futures that you can do or in some kind of form or fashion, but to have Gisbergen on your ticket pre-poll, I would imagine is would be quite the. It's like, well, bro, what do you see that nobody else sees type of thing? If you saw someone just betting on Gisbergen in the last in any of the last 5 races to put Gisbergen on the to bring it home without seeing the poll would be quite the. You might have a crystal ball, or you might be it's divining this somehow, got a Ouija board or something going on, but
Yeah, I did
then
put a 5 on him on the for the Mexico race. I didn't put any money on him for Chicago or the Infineon because it's just at Sears Point there was I don't know what his odds were. What I don't know if $5 maybe would have, because then when I put it on before it paid out like 10 or $11, but I mean it might vary. It might go to like 15 or 20 or whatever. I'm sure it doesn't vary too much. Generally you want to pick someone outside the usually like the top 3. If you can get someone that's qualified like 4th, 5th, or 10th, but sometimes you look at someone that's qualified like 2 positions it differ from each other. There might be a huge difference compared to someone that's qualified further back or further up. So it's kind of weird the way they do it, what the odds are, and then off of qualifying to what the payouts are too, because even this, I mean, this week was pretty good payouts for people that were qualifying in the top 5, top 10 even. So I don't know why it varies so much. Like I know Daytona 500, even you could put $5 on Briscoe and you're going to make well over 100 and some bucks. Like Austin Cindric, I can't remember how much money it was like 200 and some, I think, on him. So certain races pay out really well. Daytona is like the best one, so that's the one you want to put money down. But yeah, these other ones, it's like you could if I could have we could have called the Ross Chastain or the Xfinity Suarez win. Those would have been huge. If you just put 5 or 10 down, you would have made out like a bandit.
Well, either way, I mean, what I think is just so funny is that he's polling out in these so that the payouts, are at the very least are going to be less, than if he were qualifying as normal, I guess, for where he's been at this season. But on his wins, he pulls extremely well. So, even if you were to pick what should be pretty much a dark horse, because he's like you've mentioned multiple times, he's won his first race 2 years ago, but been kind of not just quiet, he's been like a non-existent since then. And yeah, so just another pretty obvious way that they control Vegas and things of that nature is it's like you get these dark horse guys and it's just like, yeah, they get their narrative, but they don't have to pay for it. They don't have to pay for this narrative to come out. It's not like um, he pulled middle of the pack and two races and just boom, there he goes. They'll just say, he's a dominant front runner driver. That's what they'll do. They'll paint him as like a great road course driver, and he's great in the starting position, which most races that the pole position doesn't win. I'm correct in saying that, right?
Yeah, I mean, this year there's been quite a few times where
Yeah.
the pole guy won, probably more so than I've seen in a long time. Um, yeah, I mean, in qualifying, some tracks it kind of is important, others it's not really important at all. But um, yeah, I mean, poles and stuff too. It's like certain guys were always kind of good at like qualifying on pole. Like Ryan Newman has like they call him Rocket Man because he was always on the pole. He was poling constantly. Casey Kane was a pretty good qualifier. Like Jeff Gordon, those are some of like the better qualifiers. Um, probably times of since I've watched NASCAR, probably like Newman's probably been like the best or the most poles, but um, yeah, like Kane or Gordon, people like that. Even like Jeremy Mayfield or something. So you got all these different people that would get on pole or set qualifying records or whatever. But yeah, I mean, a lot of times in the race, I mean, and that's just the thing. I mean, the course of a race, I mean, so much to play out. I mean, even if you qualify on pole, you could dominate it and still lose, or you might not have a dominant race, but maybe you do win it. I mean, it's very rare, that things just go that perfectly, but for it to literally go perfectly just 3 times in a row, we're just nothing, just easy domination, easy wins. It just, yeah, it's very, very rare that it happens that smoothly. So, it's like I said, if he does get another pole at the Glen or another road course this year, you almost got to already take him to be the winner at that point because it's just like it just seems like that's going to be the narrative they're going to go. I mean, even if it doesn't pole, I mean, it's still a high percentage chance that he might get a win or something at the road course coming up. But yeah, that's just the thing. I mean, we've seen dominating races this year. We've seen Byron just about lead every lap. Darlington should have won it, and Larson's got some poles and some wins. So this year it just seems like this year we've had the last place car win, we've had the first place car win, but yeah, a lot from the pole this year more than other years, especially from my time, especially from what I know as of the last so many years. And that's the thing. It's like yeah, that's a great point. Like you brought up, like to get the money out of people. Just people won money off the Suarez win for picking him when he started last, or people won a big buck off Ross Chastain picking him when he uh, started dead last and won. And they're getting their money back for all these pole people that keep qualifying on pole and winning. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how many more pole winners win this year and how many will win at the end for the season total. I'm very interested to see how many people this year and compared to other years because yeah, generally yeah, I mean you start on pole. Maybe you're in a dominant race. Maybe you go like 2 for 2 or something. You'll get a few pole winners pretty much every year. But yeah, definitely quite a few this year and just quite a few just dominating races too. Just a lot of domination for the most part.
Certainly interesting. And man, this is definitely, like you said, one of the more compelling narratives that we've ever kind of dug up. This is right up there with that Byron leadoff win with Tennessee underwater. And you got good old Governor Billy, William Byron Lee. Uh, so yeah, this is fitting too, right? We talk about flooding the first race of the season, and here we are now, and not only continuation, uh, but I mean, in some instances like Texas, they're reflooding. They're not done with that place.
Oh yeah, yeah. They just keep getting hit wave after wave.
Absolutely. I mean, like you mentioned, there's Iowa underwater, all, with buzzing headline. And, you could say Rainier is just like, oh, Washington and Oregon. Nah, nah. St. Helens affected the whole country. St. Helens is what, like a
Exactly.
third of the size? Something insane. I mean,
Yeah, that went all the way to that was blocking out shit and fucking up the weather all the way to Wisconsin, Mount Rainier. That would fuck up the whole country. If that thing blows, that would just fuck everything up. So yeah, people want to think that it's just kind of out here. I mean, like I said, uh, yeah, the West Coast, that a big earthquake went off or Mount Rainier. Yeah, that would just uh, everything would be fucked. If Yellowstone blows up, we're all fucked. That would destroy everything too. Um, so there's quite a bit of yeah, with the Mount Rainier, and like I said, the rain here, it rain near, and then you got the Teddy Swims mockery as well with the flooding and the Illinois being underwater, Iowa being underwater. I know, like there by Cedar Rapids was flooding too. So there's just different areas, pockets they're hitting. I mean, and then we just had the NASCAR race in Chicago last week with that weather rolling in too, with Ginsburg winning it. Now you got Teddy Swims. People are having to swim to safety. So yeah, it's unbelievable what they've conjured up this week. Just all the flooding in New Mexico. Like I said, Washington D.C. got hit. North Carolina, South Carolina got
oh
like a
yeah, North
hurricane.
Carolina. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There's been some other states, a lot of states in the South. Like I said, the South, the East Coast, the Midwest, the West, just flooding everywhere. Just I haven't seen any flooding really on the West Coast out here, but definitely flooding in the West, just everywhere. I mean, it's you got the Grand Canyon on fire. The fires there at the Grand Canyon there in Arizona. So you got uh, trouble with that. You got the earthquake swarms here, more earthquakes than ever before. So
That's
yeah, you
true.
got action in every spot in the country. You got major action right now.
Yeah, you said it, dude. Earthquake swarms. I looked into this, and it's the first time I've ever heard that. They might have been using this for a while. That's just for me personally. That's the first time I've ever heard earthquake swarms. It's such an interesting. Like, there's clusters. There's things that make more sense. Like, you think swarms, it's like locusts. Isn't it interesting that they use a word like swarms, whereas that's like a biblical terminology for like the end of times. There'll be swarms of. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, and it's been the most since they've been recording. They've been I guess they've been recording the last like 40, 50 years, whatever they said. They've been keeping track of it. This is the most they've ever had. Um, and that time. So yeah, it's something to um watch out for. I guess this whole year though, Mount Rainier has been extremely active this year. It's been a really extremely active year for it, but it seems like lately it's been really picking up here. So we'll have to see what happens. Does it calm down? Is there gonna be something else? It's hard to say right now. There's so much going on. There's every area is being attacked in some way, or they'll find a way to get to you.
And even if nothing comes of it, it's that constant on edge fear mongering to keep people off balance. That's really what it really comes down to is they want people on the back foot with everything, so that you can't get comfortable. Which, first of all, I think comfortability is its own issue. I mean this in a different way. Comfortable in a different way. It's just like you can't be at ease at all with whether or not it's the climate of the actual weather, the climate of the political weather, you could say. Um, all these different facets that they can hit you. But yeah, check it out. Earthquake and Mount Rainier have very similar Dramache there with the 44 and 55. So no surprise why they would those two things would be so heavily reported. But yeah, I mean, what if it blew? there's nothing our government could do. There's nothing we could do. I say there's nothing our government could do, but I have my own theories on volcanism. But so I guess technically, in my opinion, partially in my opinion, there is something to be said about governments doing to make these things take place. There's stories that are highlighted. I know Zach talks about them, but who is it? Jesse Ventura. He talked about how they would plant mines out at the ocean and detonate mines out in the ocean to trigger the fault lines and things of that nature. And there's things that are like hearsay, and then there's things that are like patented and they're just out there for people to know about, whether or not it's test facilities above or below ground. They keep these things hush hush to a point, but if you look at modern war, what is modern war but a weapons testing program? What people get stuck in, and I think we can kind of talk about this in the grand scheme, because war is such a pressing matter right now. We're going to be talking about trust tonight, and like talk about trust in our government and trust in our military, because what I've seen war to be is not only an excuse to erase history, to erase people, which put a slash through history and people, because it's basically the same thing. You erase the people, you erase the oral history. It also is a chance to test things. Let anybody is free. I've talked about this multiple times, but look up Operation Gomorrah, the bombing of Hamburg. They were whipping up fire tornadoes like nothing. And then you get stories like Lahaina, and you get stories like California or Hollywood, and it's just like, So planes could do this back in the day. In the bombing of Hamburg, I can't even remember what year it was, but it was World War One. They were able to do this just flying planes. They would eject. Well, I can't remember exactly what they call it, but it basically metal particulates into the air. Does that? They would eject metal particulates into the air. That doesn't sound like anything they'd be doing anymore nowadays. It was probably just a one-off thing. Anyway, and be able to literally ignite these particles, which things like aluminum silicates, which aluminum does not burn necessarily. It flash burns and melts and like smolders. So, the fire wasn't necessarily, the fire was on the ground, but through their aerial maneuvers, they were able to turn them into tornadoes that just devastated these towns. And you look at the great fires in our history, Seattle, that's one of the best examples, honestly, is, they say the Great Fire in Seattle, you think of Chicago, all these places where World's Fairs took place. This is a whole nother rabbit hole, but it is in the same kind of concept of trusting your government. These are, in my opinion, and in my research, these are acts of warfare to erase history. Who cares who's living there? As long as there's no lords and nobles living there, they're all evacuated. They got the memo. You're not going to get the memo. When Rainier pops, you're not going to get the memo. It'll be a day that you would probably least expect it, in fact. So I would say keep an eye on when they say there is no seismic activity. You know what I mean? I almost feel like that might be the tell that it's closer than when they're fear-mongering. But yeah, that all kind of plays into like this idea of being on the back foot with just about everything in our life that we can't control for sure. And then it's hard enough to maintain the things that we can reach, but then you got stories like we're talking about now, the intense flooding and the weather warfare and all these things lining up with dates of the JFK speech on weather warfare and the Lyndon Baines Johnson's speech on who controls the weather controls the world, and all these admitted to HARP programs and things of that nature. But go ahead and Google HARP, because Google will tell you, oh, there's no HARP. HARP's done. HARP stopped. So don't look anymore. Don't worry about the facility in your town. Don't worry about the facility at the Oregon coast, right between Washington and Oregon. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about the bomb cyclones. There's no HARP facility. What do you mean? It says right there on Google. So, anyway, I mean, Big Lahaina, you know, what's at the top of that mountain that was at the epicenter of the fire? Oh, a HARP facility. Probably, you know, whatever. Who cares? It is what it is.
Yeah, they conjured that cyclone bomb up last November. Yeah, a hurricane hitting Seattle. I mean, how do you not call that out and see it for what it is? I mean, yeah, and just call it cyclone bombs. Like, I've been all over the country where they say cyclone bomb. Then it's always these just weather acts that are just out of this world. I mean, I had it when I was in Wyoming. Oh, it's a cyclone bomb, and it was the biggest snowstorm in like over 100 years. It was like fucking 5 foot drifts. You couldn't even it was barricaded inside basically my place there for like 4 or 5 days. I mean, it was just awful. I mean, how many people died and lost their lives? People couldn't couldn't go to the hospital if you had to. You couldn't. That's the kind of thing that what you expect. Especially like
Hey, Austin, your audio's kind of cutting out a little bit.
that's why I'm doing that.
What was that last thing you said? Technical difficulties, ladies. We're truly winging it these days. Not only am I on a weaker internet source, but Austin does have to drive a little bit away from his home in order to record with me. So very shaky connection at times. You seem to be back.
Yeah, we should be good now. Hopefully. Yeah. Yeah, as I was saying, yeah, that yeah, when I was in Seattle, but even when I was in Seattle, it's like back in 2019, we got that huge snowstorm too. It was like the worst snowstorm in like 100 years too, and that really messed and screwed things up. So I've been in how many of these now where these storms that come out of nowhere and then they hit you and you're scrambling and then or you're stuck or it just changed your life. I mean, it's just you don't know what they're gonna do to you. I mean, look how many people just lost everything in Texas and New Mexico or Iowa or Illinois or Washington D.C. wherever you are. I mean, you get caught up in this stuff and it just out of nowhere. I mean, you know, 10 minutes pass and your house is getting flooded and getting destroyed and rolling away, and then there's something happens. So it's you just don't know with the way things are going. I mean, just look at a week ago. I mean, it was just Texas. Now it's half the country here a week later. I mean, what's it going to be a week from now? What's it going to be by the end of the month? And the way they rank they keep just wrapping this stuff up into just more and more of these events. And then before you know it, I mean, hurricane season's going to be here. I mean, we're going to have we already had like a hurricane just hit like South Carolina there, but there's going to be and even when we get to wintertime, I mean, I think it's going to be one of the worst winters ever. I think the weather's just going to be absolutely abysmal. I think it's going to be extremely cold in a lot of places. I think we're going to see some of the biggest snowstorms ever. I mean, you're seeing it this summer, how they're all this severe weather and flooding and stuff. I mean, we've never seen anything like this, and it's just exploded um, just this week, which is amazing. I mean, it was such a short amount of time to flood out all these places and do so much damage. I mean, you got all these people. I mean, it's amazing to think, too. I mean, it was a year ago today we had the fakest news of 2024. You had the fake Trump assassination. That was a year ago today. And then
Oh,
you just think of, yeah, and you know, that was a big, you know, big scamming story of the year. And then you had, you know, the hurricane, you know, for the lithium down there that they rolled through and did all that damage with. But I mean, you look at what they've done this year, especially lately. I mean, they make last year look like it was nothing. I mean, last year's, you know, oh, fake assassination, oh, this big storm, this big earth, you know, this big whatever. But this year, I mean, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, it's literally every day, every week, they're just swamping just every place. I mean, by the time the end of the year is here, there's going to be no place to go. There's going to be no place left unscathed at this point, and it's just amazing. The absolute ramp up of weather warfare, how fast things are happening. It's just, it brings that whole, you know, you're gonna own nothing and be happy. You got to just think about that, because I mean, what goes on in all these other places affects us here too. It affects everybody. I mean, everywhere things are happening or not happening, you're still being affected. So yeah, higher insurances at the point where you just can't afford it or do anything, and um just the cost, everything that's going to go up from all this. Then you got the people that are going to be homeless now, and they're going to be on the street, and they're going to be behind in life because they lost everything. And or people that just got killed in these storms and they couldn't get out of the way. They just ended up going down with the ship. And yeah, this is just going to be something we're going to have to just, if people don't, like I said, I mean, weather warfare is going to be our downfall if people don't call it for what it is, and see it for what it is. I mean, like I said, I mean, all this flooding, I mean, you look at the video, I mean, of like the Texas flood. I mean, it looks like black magic. I mean, it just looks like something out of this world. I mean, you know, 30 feet of water, and you know, literally, yeah, it just 30 feet of just out of nowhere, just swamping you in just minutes. I mean, you
how is
can't even.
that not a levee or a dam? Can we really make sense of that water coming from the clouds? Can we? I mean, potentially with cloud. You know, there's all this talk about cloud seeding, and you know how there's programs, open programs right now to this day in Texas and other and the surrounding areas for cloud seeding, but they're just like so sure. No, 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 no. It couldn't have been that. It wasn't that. It certainly wasn't geoengineering. Uh, like read this. Scientists blame unusually warm oceans, not cloud seeding, for Texas and North Carolina floods. Well, oh, okay. Sounds good. Meanwhile, you have the program that, you know, tracks these storms. It's called NOAA. You know, this is something for anybody who's, you know, looked into these things. HARP, NOAA. It's just like, why do you call it NOAA? That's not good. That's not a good thing. It's just, no one wants that to be called NOAA, dude. That's terrible. Um, but yeah, what I kind of want to posit with this whole thing is how they like to play it. I mean, what is the Pacific Northwest and the West Coast kind of known for? You know, I mean, I'll include Montana and Idaho in on this as well. Maybe even and Colorado. What do what do you think? Where you have what's it been like here? It's been idyllic. I'm not gonna lie. There's been some fires here and there. Nothing got super out of control in comparison to how they have in years past. But the other half of the country is just uncontrollably flooding. Now look at where it's flooding. Low desert. You talk about Texas, where it was flooding. You know, I guess they were up in the hills somewhat too, but you know, you're flooding these areas that are, you know, they're not known for, you know, being green and lush and beautiful. So how do you destroy what's there? You know, when you think about a desert, first of all, when deserts flash flood, when they do get rain once a year, or, you know, these certain deserts, not to say that Texas is like this exactly, but it is more like this because it's more arid, long, you know, more throughout the year on average. When you get a good amount of downfall of rain, it takes a while for the earth to absorb it. It won't absorb it right away. So that water stays up high and floods. How do you destroy, you know, you flood it. flood those areas, the middle states and things of that nature. How do they handle us up here, Austin? Fire. That's what they do up here. They take the most beautiful, lush greenery and mountainsides and hillsides and ranges, even in towns. It's like, as Portland, as bad as it's gotten, it's still pretty nice. When you take any drive, and it's just, you can't not see trees. It's so that if they still have that going for them, for how long, I don't know. But I can see this being an insane fire season. I mean, we're definitely in drought territory currently. Not to say that it is right now if it were to start raining, but if it continues on the trajectory we're headed, if say we get a, what do they call those, an Indian summer or whatever, and it goes on and on like it has in years past. I almost feel like this is the same trajectory it's been, since those like COVID fires. Those where we in Portland we had it was like 120 degrees, and it was fires outside, so it was like smoke everywhere. People were saying, COVID's everywhere, and so it was just like a trifecta of just like, I think at that moment in time, Oregon had the worst air quality in the world for like days straight. I mean, these fires lasted like a whole week of just smoking out the city. And then, of course, in that same time frame, we had, record-breaking temperatures. So I see that is a way that they can, make us pay kind of for, it's like equivalent exchange. Half the country's being destroyed underwater, the other half will be set on fire. And who can you trust to take care of these things? Can you trust your insurance companies? Oh, what happened to, Hollywood? What happened to Lahaina? What happened to all these other places that burned? What happened to Asheville? Those places got those houses swept right up under them, and their insurance policies canceled. But there was the large story about the insurance cancellations right before the California fires, the Hollywood fires I'm talking about. That was like that was the State Farm, I believe. But they do it every time. They're ahead of these policies. They're ahead of these disasters, and they know exactly when to pull the plug on people. Think about like tornado coverage for like the middle, like Tennessee, and things of that nature. In recent years, they've had massive tornadoes take out huge swaths of land, and just, what do you know, like those that insurance, just the insurance lapsed that year. They stopped covering that year. It's just like, oh wow, what a coincidence there. So can you trust your insurance companies? First of all, no. I mean, come on, guys. Come on, no. These are rhetorical questions. That's specifically a rhetorical question. But more importantly, can you trust the system that holds up those insurance companies? Who bails out the insurance companies all the time? The federal government. Who do we pay our taxes to? The federal government. Who hasn't dismantled the federal government yet? This current president, who keeps promising that they'll shrink and dismantle the federal government. Every president. Does it ever happen? No. You can't trust a politician. You can't trust, these systems are put in place to benefit the lords of the land. And the lords of the land don't till and toil on the land, historically and even to this day. We do. The flock, the chaff do. And that's what we need to wake up and realize, is that's what we are. We're expendable chaff that is here to maintain the system, and in other ways maintain the land. Honestly, in my honest opinion, is for this next reset that they plan on living out. I think, and I'll just say this now so I can kind of set the scene so you guys know where I'm coming from with this mindset. I think that we've gone through several resets globally, and that historically the people that come out on top are the ones that are able to pass on the information to their next ones, and that I think that there have been natural resets that prior in the olden times, everybody passed down knowledge of the resets so that you have something to build back when it's over, whether it's a flood, whether it's volcanism, whatever. But in current history, I think we are dealing with people that are bringing about a reset. Obviously, you have them call it that. You have the World Economic Forum and these people, they call it resets. As in they are the ones doing the reset. This goes back to Babylon, which is where these mystery traditions come from, which is where gematria, truly comes from. The oldest scripts and alphabets and things of that nature, obviously. And you think Babylon, you think of King Solomon, you think about these the first Freemasons and what they believed, and this all to say that this kind of this points towards this system they have in place of using gematria and ritual to play God and to do the reset themselves. And there's movies like there was this one movie I saw my girlfriend watching that I just couldn't help but pick apart. But it was basically that was literally the premise of the movie is that the rich elite knew a flood was coming, and they built these like arks to withstand the flood. So, but they had they had to bring some of the people on in order to repopulate or whatever. Anyway, so I think that this next one will not be a natural reset. I think this will be a reset that is manufactured. And you talk about things like geoengineering. How do we know that this isn't such a long-term plan that they've completely changed our skies? First of all, I'm saying this I'm talking to our audience and to you, but in my opinion, that is what's happened. Our skies, our atmosphere has changed. It is not the same blue. I don't think this is it, that it's a natural reason it's not the same blue. I think there are things that do change in our world naturally if it's going towards a reset, but I think that they are trying to purposely trigger something so that they can know exactly when it's going to happen and have things in place for when that happens. We've talked briefly about their underground military bases, their DUMBs, and their affinity towards pushing things underground of note, things that they hold dear or want to carry over to the next. Like, why do that? It's just such an easy question to answer. Why do that if for any other reason other than a potential disaster above ground? But yeah, what's your take on we're on theme with the weather and things of that nature? What's your take on where should we be at with trust of the figures that have pushed themselves into the forefront, the Trumps, any politician you want, or the scientists, the DeGrasse Tysons, the Bill Nyes, the Fauci's, what do we do with all this? Where do they stand? Where should they stand as far as our public trust?
Yeah, that's a perfect point and you already, I mean, with all these, I mean, we've seen it back, 20 years ago with Katrina, like, FEMA just standing around filming it like, it was a movie, just not doing nothing. I mean, that's what you have every time these things happen. I mean, the government just they're just insolvent. They don't care. They don't help out. They don't do nothing. I mean, it's with every one of these events. The one we had last year, the big hurricane for all the lithium, was the same thing. And then you have what's going on this year with all these floods and everything else right now. It's the same thing again. I mean, all these people just getting screwed out of life, getting screwed out of their way of life, and whatever they got going on. And like you said, the insurance companies, um, just people's lives in general, their futures, just everything. Uh, just how much is, and that's a lot of people too. I mean, they're looking at things too, and a lot of people, this is why they understand America, United States is a target. I mean, weather warfare goes on over the world, it goes on everywhere, but I mean, right now, the United States is under just such a heavy attack. And this is a lot of reason I think a lot of people do want to get out of here, because they know that whoever is left here, I mean, the people that stay, they're just going to get taken up by the weather warfare. It's either there's people that know weather warfare, and they know what's going on. A lot of people want to get out of here and go do something else and go try and avoid it. Other people that don't get it or see it. Some people are just still dependent on the government and thinking that they're going to get helped out. And um, any of those that uh, they understand, they see that the things are just getting worse and worse. I mean, um, you have to wonder, how bad is it? Like I said, how bad is this winter going to be? I mean, how many people are going to die and we're going to lose their lives? And well, what you're going to watch, the same thing as always. Well, it's the government do nothing. All the people that are freezing to death outside, it's too cold, big snowstorms coming. What do? They don't do nothing. They never do nothing. I mean, every time these things happen, it's just it just like I said, they just watch it like it's a big movie. They blow it up and they just let the damage happen. And that's the key thing. And with them triggering these and making this just part of um, everyone's daily life now, uh, I mean, you already have I mean, what you do have the pushback, from the government and everyone else and everything that's going on. But then you got this. This is gonna devastate people more than anything. So you do have this rising conflict, this rising tension between people and the government and the land and everything, and all this stuff for all these different reasons. Like I said, whether they're doing something to go collect lithium, uh, or they're doing something to get people out of a certain area because they're going to put something else there. Or the government wants to take your land, or they just don't want people living somewhere. They just want to just kill a bunch of people for whatever reason, a big ritual or something. And everything they do, there's always, it's never just one thing with them. There's always methods to the madness. So yeah, I just see it being we're just, like I always say, we're just at that pinnacle point. I mean, right now, I mean, if the weather warfare is not stopped, it's not going to even matter. And like I said, how many people still don't notice, they don't know about geoengineering, they don't know about chemtrails, um, and like you said, the sky ain't the same, the sun ain't the same. I mean, and people for the most part ain't the same either. Nothing's the same. I mean, they've changed everything. Everything's they turn on their head. It's the as above, so below world. So yeah, this is going to be one of these stories where, like I said, whether it's going to be fires or hurricanes next, it's already, I know a lot of twisters have been in the South this year. Texas and stuff's been getting just swamped. Um, yeah, they're just going to make things just so, I mean, it's just unbelievable how much stuff they've gotten away with this week and this year so far. But yeah, it's just going to get much worse. And it's just, that's the other thing too. I mean, a lot of people, I think that's the big thing about everything that's going on too right now, because it just kind of makes people, you gotta just enjoy life and live for the moment. You can't, you just kind of have to just try and enjoy life and live and just try and make the most of your time and just try and have fun, really, because you really do never know when they're going to do something and take you out, or when they're going to pull something off. I mean, we've seen. I mean, you rarely ever said, like I said, you rarely ever get twisters in, like Washington or Seattle, but you can't put it past them. You can't put them past the hurricane, because we've already seen that out here with the cyclone bomb. I mean, the big one, the earthquakes, the volcanoes. I mean, what do you want? What do you want it to be? What do you want to create? Yeah, that's just the thing. I mean, you just don't know where to go and what to do, and there is no safe place, there is no better place, there's no worse place, because they can get you at anything anywhere. So I mean, yeah, there's no trust, no faith in the government. There's no there's no things are going to get better. It's just, you have to I think, like I said, people just, you got to live for what you got right now, and just try and make the most of your, have as much fun, enjoy your life, and kind of live every day like it's your last, because you just don't know when they're going to conjure something up right on top of your head. And, you just look and think about the future. Like, if you're a younger person, you're in your teens or 20s, or just, just looking at the future in general. I mean, it's depressing, and it's maximum depression, because this is what we're facing. This is the reality. You're going to own nothing and be happy. And you're already seeing how they're accomplishing it. And, if we don't put an end to it, this is most likely how they will finally succeed.
Yeah, very potent words there and great advice as well, because trust is at a premium. And the other thing about trust is you assign it. Trust, it can be earned, but for us to wake up every day, it's kind of a running joke, especially when we're talking about politicians. It's just like, guys, we need to wake up. You know, these guys are not waking up every morning and saying, how can I make complete strangers that don't benefit me in any way? How can I make their life better? What can I do for them? That's what they say. That is not what they do. Come on, no, even you, everybody, we don't do that. It's not, people don't do that. Even some of the best people you might know in your life, it's like that might be like that. It's a rarity. So to think that all these politicians are just like that, and that's why they're there, is because they're just public servants. They're just servants to us. They just love us so much that they just need to get in there and just serve us. It's such a false reality that they've built. And that, what's funny is they piggyback off the concept of the founding fathers as well. Like they were just these clandestine, you know, angelic figures that, you know, had nothing but our best um, lives as their main focus. It's just like that's what the Constitution's all about. It's like, yeah, I'm sure none of that benefited any of them, and I'm sure nothing. There were no inside dealings back in the day. I'm sure that everything's on the up and up there. But it really is a sense of naivety that we have, that we could ever put faith in a politician or a lawmaker or any of these things, when we have anecdotal evidence. Most of us have anecdotal evidence of it being corrupt. Me personally, I have anecdotal evidence of the court system being corrupt when it comes to my child, and I think a lot of fathers find that out rather brutally, with their rose-colored glasses getting shattered by a usually female uh, judge in the family courts. Not to try to ruffle anyone's feathers. I said female because I'll refrain from a woman judge, because fuck them. That's why they're females to me. But so there's anecdotal evidence there. Your trust can't be put into necessarily into that arena as well, especially if one sex over the other, for sure. But we touched on insurance. We touched on, obviously politicians, insurance. But what about like in our own lives? These are kind of things that are kind of out of our hands, right? The weather, as much as it's in our hands. Now, we should realize that these things are in our hands, just like you were saying. This should be a rallying cry for everyone to not only educate themselves on what it is that we're dealing with, never mind being able to stop it, but the fact that you could walk down the street and ask 99 people and they wouldn't know, basics about potentially whether or not it's geoengineering in any form. People act like geoengineering is like the special hydrogen molecule forming in the upper atmosphere of the ozone. No, it's fucking planes doing it every day, every hour of every day too. Which is, what do you call that? What do you call that? It's when's the last time in a nice summer day you saw a real cloud? It's yeah. So anyway, yeah, there's no, these things are out of our necessarily our bubble of grasp. But what about within that bubble? Like I was alluding to, when it comes to trust is something that you shouldn't give out so much that you can be burned and lead to you never trusting again, or it kind of spoiling, or I guess the best word I can come up for right now, but yeah, spoiling your idea of trusting people. And you can see that fabric of personal trust being, chipped away out. And I mean, with a sledgehammer, not a little hammer, but a sledgehammer chipping away at people's personal trust. Because you take a look at society as a whole, and what do you see? Trustworthy people left and to your right. Are you seeing guys, walking old ladies across the street? Are you seeing modestly dressed women, doing whatever the hell they do, going to the nail salon? Do you see any of these things? No. I mean, we talk about this. We've made this kind of like a running remark, but traffic. I think I think these are signs, honestly. Just the overall, or the average temperature of people's behavior with something like traffic. We all have to sit in traffic. We're all out there. We're all a car moving to get to a destination, yet we somehow collectively turn it in to some strange competition / Mad Max / we turn it into this strange social experiment. It's like they don't even need to do it, which, by the way, I do have actual evidence that traffic has been engineered. It has been engineered to fuck with us. I believe it was a New Jersey governor that it actually came out about, but there's always fall guys. That's how they do it. But I think we can all remember a time or two where it felt like, man, what are these cars doing? Are these cars literally just out here causing traffic? Probably were. Anyway, that's not to say that, that's a good reason for the way we've began to act as a collective. You look on social media, and it's, one thing I've talked about a couple of times is like the unfairness in our society with how is, because we talk about things from the male angle a lot. We just do, because that's the angle that we're going to see things clearest through. That doesn't mean we can't speak on the female one. That's not how anything works. And good luck arguing with a woman and not having them tell you how you are, when they'll sit there and say, we can't possibly know how it is to be them, but they'll tell you straight to your face how you are. Anyway, the average, when you look at like social media, you got kids coming up nowadays, and you have adults. Well, what I was going to say is, what's unfair is the average 14 to 17-year-old is, hooker-esque. And it's really unfair to, and this might be like, it might come off weird, but it's unfair that a sect of society should force people to, I don't know how to really put this without it sounding strange, but what I see it as is it's just like this like sick joke. It's like this sick poking at an aspect of human nature that some people can't control. That people can't control on average. People can't control what their eyes see when it's put right in front of them. That's not how the world works. If I were to jump onto a train and whip my willy out, that's on me. But it's not, it's not your fault I did that and made you see that. But so that's kind of where I'm coming from with this is, you can't trust where society has put the average age demographics. You talk about the age demographics of like 15 to 17. They're cooked. They're cooked. Women and the boys and girls, they're cooked. I see it on a daily basis too. I am so glad. It's like 2000s were honestly boring, and I'm so glad. Like I'm actually glad. First of all, the 90s were way more boring, but they were it was in a cool way. The 2000s were just boring in the way that it's not like the things that affected society were lambastic and cool. Like it's not like there was any major like societal changes that came about from like music or pop culture. It was like 9/11 and like other crazy shit. It wasn't, it affected people's moods on a whole and made, and just changed people in that way. Whereas in the 90s, it was like aesthetically. People had like their groups aesthetically, but the 90s was boring in the way that the problems we have today weren't nearly as present, and self moderation was a lot higher. Whereas now, good luck convincing a 15-year-old to self moderate themselves when their parents egg it on. And it's what's sick to me about it is I'm coming at this from the angle of the child, but really what it is I cannot believe there are this many adults in first of all in my vicinity, second of all in my extended vicinity, third of all on this earth that allow the quote unquote freedom that they allow their kids to go out into this world with. First of all, it's a false reality. When they wake up and they have the responsibilities that their parents had, they're going to find out that none of that supposed freedom did them any good. And more often than not, it led to decisions that hurt them in their coming of age and their post teen life. They're going to be doing things, and this is anecdotally. I did things that I didn't want to do. I did at the time, but it was because of the societal. I don't want to say pressure, because I honestly it is pressure, but I still hold people to a standard. It'd be one thing to be if we're talking about 10-year-olds, but when it comes to 16-year-olds, we really do need to cut the shit about what's okay and what's not, and just because they're not an 18-year-old adult. No, these guys are doing adult actions with sub-adult brains, and that's their choice to do. They're doing a lot of these things are their choices, but it's still their world around them is being formed by their predecessors, and their predecessors are setting them up with absolute shit to deal with, as we all have been since the 40s, or from World War One. It's just been a complete decline, generation after generation. But yeah, you can't trust what you see, is what I'm trying to get at. It's just like, I can't trust what I see. The youth can't trust what they see. It breeds what I think happens more than anything else is it forces fake trust. It forces you to latch on to things that you cannot prove and you think no one can prove. And you'll latch onto those things because at the end of the day, you won't be proven wrong. You won't be proven right either, but at least you won't be proven wrong. I mean, think about the rise of, all sorts of different things going on right now. Manosphere, black fatigue, all these different things that are popping up, and right, these are things that pick 50 people off the street and you'll find 50 different opinions on it. So no one will ever say they can have it'll always be subjective. And subjective truth is the only truth I think people want to live in right now. When I think I'm saying that right. Subjective. Yeah. And instead of whereas objective truth is just being thrown out and no one searches for it either. So never mind it even being thrown out. It can be right in front of your face and people will just like turn a blind eye to it because it's not fun at defending objective truth. Someone can come and try to prove you specifically wrong, or they can try to pick you apart. Whereas, subjective truth, it's all opinion based, and opinions are the currency of today. uh, hey, we're here, we're here slinging ours. But so yeah, trust as a whole is just being, like I said, whacked away at with a sledgehammer rather than a small hammer and chisel, to the point where it's really leading us into that metaverse mentality, to where people are going to be ready for that switch over when it takes place. And all the players that are on the world stage, they've been they've been propelled there and highlighted for years and years and years. You got Elon Musk, who's now breaking away from the right, but it's not like he's stopping any of his ventures. He's still doing the Neuralink. He's still testing on all those little capuchins. He's still ripping their brains out and ripping their skulls off and putting little chips on them and torturing them and seeing what makes them tick. Oh, that sounds nice. I can't wait to get one of those in my brain so I can go back to monkey.
Yeah, it's amazing when you sit back and you look at it, not just from like the use perspective, but um, just like everywhere right now, like people's lives, what they're going through, um, just how they live their life. I mean, how many people are just, just the way their life is, the way their life runs. Just that's just the thing. I mean, when you sit and you look at it, that's why, like I just said, with like the weeks like this and everything going on right now and everything. That's why, like I always say, you just got to really live for the moment and just make the most of your time and try to enjoy your life and have fun and try and make experiences and um, just just try to live, just try to enjoy your life and live life the way you want to right now, because uh, just with the way things are going. I mean, I'm seeing people that are, in their 40s, 50s, my age, it's just everyone is just in some kind of bind, in a pickle, where it's just like you're looking at their lives and it's like, they're, like I said, whether they're in debt or they just have all these problems or all these issues, or, uh, they're struggling to pay bills or keep up, or they just don't got nothing going for them, or they're just so far behind. I mean, there's just way too many people like that right now. And then, like I said, you bring in these things that are happening. You bring in, all the things that the government and the Trump and the administration and the big beautiful bill, all these things that are taking all these things away from people. Then you got the weather warfare that's taking people's lives and homes and money and stuff away too. And this is all it is. I mean, it's just everyone is just being stripped away of everything. It's just everybody's just losing just life from every angle. I mean, and then you got some people that are just so beat down, all these younger people, in their teens and 20s, that they don't even want to especially in the last 5 years, people don't really want to even, just like I said, try and enjoy life, live for the moment, just have a little fun, go do something. You're trying to live, enjoy your life. I mean, that's just the biggest thing that I think is missing from some people's lives, and why some people are in the spot they're in too. It's just um and a lot of people are struggling just to get by, so that it's hard. You really, at this point, you just, like I said, I mean, everything is subject to change, and there's so much uncertainty in everyone's lives. um yeah, the youth right now, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, to pick someone that's 10 years, 5 years old, or 10 years old, or 15, or even 20, or 21, or even 25, it's like, okay, what is your life going to be like by the time you're my age, in another 5, 9, 10, 15, 20 years? I mean, what that's just the thing, right? Everything is subject to change, and you look at it ain't going for nothing's getting better. It just gets worse and worse. And at the decline that we're on, and as cooked as everything is, and it's cooked from every angle, and you got um everyone is like, just like kind of like secretly miserable. It's everyone is, you just get a different vibe every day. Like there's some days I'm at the gym and I'll be talking to people, I'm like, like I said, I'm like a spotlight. I'm just like, it's like I'm glowing. Just everyone, I got this vibe. It's like the next day I go in there, I'm like invisible. Everyone's just ignoring me. It's like you got to find consistency with people. That's the thing. You got to find uh consistency, and there's so many things that you have to have. I mean, you have to be um you really have to just it's hard to get anything going. And I think the reason a lot of people are in the positions they're in is for the simple fact that a lot of people just feel like there is no backing, like nobody cares, nobody gives a fuck. There's no one that really supports you or believes in you. And if you don't have that going for you, you don't have nothing or nobody. I mean, that's gonna take a toll on you no matter what, because it's like to literally have nothing and to have it's just your morale and your everything's just going to be shaken up. And there's way too many people like that right now that just they're just clinging. They're just on edge and they're just clinging. I mean, they're uh they're getting through the days, but you just look at the future and it's just like I said, even in my own life. I mean, I don't know what I see by the end of the year, by next year. I mean, everything is subject to change. Everything is just it's in question. It's just, and that's the way everyone's forced to live right now. That's why you have so many things that you have going on right now. It just the time moving rapidly, the time just flying, and the summer being half over, and you just got all these things happening coming to a head. It's like, how are people actually supposed to enjoy life and have fun and with all this going on and actually like think about the future? It's like it's hard to do that when you're going through all this. I mean, how many people, like I said, uh that's got involved in all this stuff right now, they've lost everything. They're homeless. They've they woke up, everything was fine, they were still going. All of a sudden, minutes later, their stuff is underwater. It's flooded. They lost everything, and then their life just changed in minutes. I mean, literally minutes just changed everything. I mean, that's just the world we live in. I mean, uh it's maximum uncertainty, and they're the ones causing it. And that's why you have, and I believe that's why you have everyone acting the way that most people are acting. And it's like, uh that's why I said, I mean, if you can find someone that's actually consistent for the most part, and how they are and what you can have with that person's, automatically a keeper in 2025 with the way things are. I mean, um, that's so hard to find today. And like I said, with so many people that just they don't have anyone that cares about them or believes in them or wants to back them or get behind them, and they just can't get off the ground. They can't uh, accomplish nothing. There's just ways many people that are in that spot. And you look at the youth. I mean, how many youth are already homeless or in awful spots or positions, or don't really see a future, or they're just lost. And how many people is everyone at this point, they're just like they're lost. They don't have no sense of direction. Maybe they don't even have a job. They got just nothing going on, and they're say their 30s or 40s, and they're not making it. I mean, there's so many people right now too that and it's hard because you have to look at it. It's like you have to almost balance it. It's like, okay, success and like happiness and like money. It's like you just have to be honest and realistic about it too at this point. It's like with things the way they are, it's like what even matters? What do you even see? It's like um and it's hard, it's tough, because like nobody everyone wants to enjoy their life and go take vacations and live comfortably, and enjoy their life and do those types of things. But now with everyone just um living to just survive, it's created all of this you know tension and stress and issues with people. Just like I said, I really think that's what people just today, they're not living enough. They're not doing what they could and should be doing. And it's messing up everything. It's messing up people for the youth. It's messing up people my age and older. Um and then you just have some people that are just kind of like in the boat I'm in, where you're just trying to just kind of get through and kind of see what happens, and just try to find and keep what consistency you have. I mean, because it's so hard to even find that and come by that today. But um yeah, I mean, that's just what I see. That's why I think there's so many people that have, you know, like, have given up on the so-called, like, or trust and stuff too. I mean, it's just that there is no, these people just don't have anything, and they have nothing, and that's why you have some people just, like I said, lost and out in life, and that's what people need. They just need the small things in life at this point. I think that's where most people are going to have to find a way to prosper. And, if you're able to make money, or you're able to just build a community, whatever you can do is whatever you can do. And that's what it's going to come down to, I think, in the near future here. Cause like I said, 90% of people are going to be left behind very soon. I mean, 9 out of 10 people aren't going to even make it with the way things are going. And there's going to be way too many people that get left behind that shouldn't be left behind. But unfortunately, that's the times we're moving into. And like I said, you just don't know what tomorrow will bring, and what a day or week or month is going to be, what the next weather event's going to be, and just everything up in the air and uncertain. So yeah, that's just what I see right now. I mean, I just see it boiling over. Like I said, we get to the end of the year, tensions they're gonna rise, they're gonna heat up, and it's just gonna transfer into 2026, 2027, and beyond as we make our way to the big 2030, and that's going to be a hell of a time.
Yeah, and if it, at this pace, it'll be a blink of an eye as well.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to piggyback on what you said there, and I'll close this out with this. But you mentioned, all the, continue to list off things, that make it hard for the average person to, trust a system, let alone, you know, what's right in front of them. But and that's, that's exactly it. That's we, you know, in a different time, there were constants in life, and things that you could wake up every day and that you knew that they would be there. Um, but you don't even know if the moon's showing up, let alone
Yeah.
if you can't rely on a job. Jobs are being taken by AI and all sorts of different things, or and we can say that, but these things are structured in this way. The companies at the top, the companies knew that they were downsizing and they were going to change their business model. That these things are prior knowledge. These are conspiracies in the truest meaning of the word. Um, and so, not to say that anyone's in control of that on the ground level. And so you can't even trust yourself. You know what I mean? You can't, there's nothing that you can actually hold yourself to. And I say nothing spare. I'll actually change that right now. There's plenty that you can trust with yourself. It's just you get caught up in the cog of the machine, and you don't realize that that's what the machine is there to do, is to keep you not trusting your fellow man, not trusting yourself, not trusting what's in front of you. You're constantly off balance, you're constantly on the back foot, and before you know it, like I said, you're signing up to you're getting indexed into this group, you're getting indexed into that group, and there you will sit as a little widget for the machine. Whereas the things you can trust is your heart pumps blood, your lungs pump air, your muscles move your body around. Do what you can to do not just do what you can, making a concerted effort to make sure that those systems work. You control those systems for now. For now, you control them. So don't take that for granted. I'm serious. I'm dead serious. Don't take that for granted. How much microplastics we're eating, how much micro metals we're eating. I have this theory that Magneto is one of the most popular villains in comics, and he can literally kill people just by pulling the iron out of their blood. That's a spooky concept. Like, who came up with that concept? But knowing what I know about the strange metals, and first of all, we have almost every metal in our body, so it's not, don't freak out. You're supposed to have metal in your body, but a system that can control it. That's another idea altogether. And there's a lot of metals in those vaccines. So how'd that work out for a lot of people? Anyway, hey, we're on the subject of trust. How many people trusted that government would give them something that was safe and effective, quote unquote? And that's just that's been done to the populace many times, and I'm sure it'll happen many more times. But it's up to us to discern and distrust what we should distrust and trust what we can trust. Not trusting what we should trust. That list should be extremely small, personally, for everybody. There's not a whole lot that you can prove trustworthy, so don't trust it. It doesn't mean you have to hate it. That doesn't mean you have to change your whole life because of it. It just means don't be naive, don't be taken for a fool, and try to make it to the end and live your life like you said. And do that by trusting the things you do control and the things that you can make sure will be consistent and what they're supposed to be. Other than that, there's not a whole lot of things you can trust in this world, and I think that that's honestly a good thing. It's a good thing that we don't have. Well, we shouldn't have an overly trusting populace. I think there's mechanisms within our brain that directly deal with that and should deal with that, but they have been screwed with over decades of brainwashing and propaganda to where those processes are not functioning correctly. But like I said, once you get the Neuralink, it fixes all of that. You can trust me.
Yeah.
So with that said, thank you for sticking around, guys. And as usual, hit us up in the comments, hit us up in an email, whatever you want. If you want to come on and air out your thoughts, hit us up in an email. Otherwise, leave it in the comments. And until next week, deuces.
Peace.